Hey, it's Jared. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I switched from the Apple Watch Ultra to a Garmin device. Now, I've used a Garmin device in the past. It's not my first time with a Garmin watch. I did switch a while back from the Apple Watch, used the Garmin for a while. In the past, I've even switched from the Apple Watch and used a Fitbit for a while. But ultimately, the decision to probably switch for the foreseeable future to a Garmin comes down to a couple of things. And if you've been on the fence as to whether or not you think a Garmin is going to be more useful or an Apple Watch, I hope that maybe some of the things that I've identified and reasons why I've decided to make the switch from the Apple Watch Ultra over to a Garmin device maybe resonate with you. So let's dive into the main reasons. Number one has to do with interruptions and distractions. The Apple Watch is designed to interrupt and distract you. Even though you may say, well, I would rather get notifications, little ones on my watch that I can't really do anything about, than the notifications on my phone, which may lead me to opening up a social media app or spending time going down some rabbit hole and wasting time. And yes, I can customize notifications, turning them off and all of that stuff, but it is a laborious process, especially if you have a lot of apps installed. You're constantly changing between apps and adding and removing apps. The process of going and changing your notification preferences is time consuming. And I always find myself forgetting. My watch is buzzing. I'm looking at it. I think that I'm only going to get maybe fitness notifications, phone calls, and text messages, but it just ends up becoming a distraction that I'm constantly looking at. And there's no easy way to just tell the Apple Watch in the settings to only give me phone calls and notifications for text messages, as opposed to having all other app notifications. And then if you have apps that are running standalone on the watch, then you also have an additional batch of notifications that you have to manage. And for me, I'm looking for less distractions in my life. I love technology. I love what it has done for my life, but I'm getting to a point where technology is overwhelming and I just can't have all of the distractions anymore. When I'm hanging out with a friend or I'm spending time with my kids or my wife, I want distraction free. I don't want the Apple Watch to be dinging me all the time because I haven't stood up in the last hour. I mean, these are all different things that can be customized, yes, but do I want to spend that much time customizing things just so that I don't have to be annoyed and interrupted throughout my day? No. Battery life most definitely is one of the big things that people talk about when it comes to Apple Watch Ultra versus any Garmin device. Garmin watches have an insane battery life, especially the Garmin Tactix 7 that I've been wearing here. I've had this watch for a while and I've switched back and forth at times between it and the Apple Watch because, the Apple Watch, it's a prettier experience. I mean, if we look at the Apple Watch display, it's full color, it's just nice looking, things are moving and changing as I rotate the watch around. It's just a great experience. And then if I look at the Garmin, it's a pretty boring experience. I mean, it has basic information, and yes, there are lots of apps that I can get access to and utilize on this device, but it's not a fast process like the Apple Watch. I can get around the Apple Watch quickly, get into apps, do what I need to do, and then get back to business. And with the Garmin, it's definitely a lot slower of a process. So, of course, with the battery life, the Garmin lasts for a very long time. I get multiple days of battery life, usually at least 10 to 12 days of battery life. And that includes going out and running bike rides and stuff like that I'm recording. I'm still getting 10 or so days of battery life, which is pretty amazing. Now I don't have to worry about, I put my Apple Watch on the charger for a little bit before bed to top it off so that it can track my sleep. And then maybe while I'm in the shower in the morning, I got to put it back on the charger just to get a little bit of additional charge to it. It can be quite a process in doing that, keeping track of charge on your device. Whereas the Garmin, you just don't have to worry about that because the charge lasts for so long. And so with the Garmin, I will take that watch off maybe for an afternoon and let it charge, and then I know that I'm probably good to go for at least 10 days, maybe even more. Now, another thing with the Apple Watch is the fitness rings. The fitness rings, you don't have to have them on the forefront of your experience. I can remove them and not have them on the screen. I don't have to be looking at them. But the fitness rings, they give me some low level of anxiety, especially as I want to close them every single day. I want all those fitness rings closed, whether it be the calories, the amount of time that I'm standing, or the workout time time spent throughout the day. Usually the workout time spent throughout the day I can knock off and get that done, but a lot of times I'm at my desk and I need to get up and stand, and closing those fitness rings can be kind of annoying. And I feel like I'm not completing my day unless those fitness rings are closed. And so maybe there's some low level of anxiety that's there, that at the end of the day, when I'm looking at my watch and I see that a fitness ring is far from closed, especially the stand one, I don't want to cheat by changing the amount of time that I need to be standing throughout the day. So I leave it and then I don't have a closed ring. And that's really one of the only ways on an Apple Watch that you can tell that you have any sort of a stride going or a streak going from multiple days, is by closing your fitness rings. I'm done with the fitness rings. I'm tired of them, and I would rather just focus on standard metrics like steps or something like that, or calories burned. And it's much easier to do that on the Garmin because you just don't have fitness rings in front of you. Of course, in the Garmin app, there is a calendar that has fitness information. And if you know how to read the color bars and all that stuff, you can tell which days you may or may not have worked out and how intense they were. But it's just not something that I'm worrying about. So I haven't missed the fitness rings. I'm definitely glad to not be paying attention to that. So let's talk about the Garmin here and the overall experience of it. I did get this band that I just really like this band. It's the Velcro nylon band that you can get for the Garmin, and this definitely fits a lot better. I've had the other couple of the other bands, typical standard watch bands, and what I like about the nylon, especially if you work out a lot, is that it's much better at handling sweat. The watch doesn't end up slipping around nearly as much on your wrist, and it's also infinitely adjustable as opposed to having notches where sometimes, depending on where you're at with, just water retention and all that stuff, the watch is slippery, it's sliding around, it's not recording your heart rate properly, you just overall run into issues there. So I like having this nylon strap because it allows me to adjust and tighten the watch band as I need to. Now, the display is an always-on display, and as you can see, it's not super bright. From certain angles, it can be kind of tricky to see, and you could just press the button here, and typically you can't tell much of a difference here, but if it was darker in the room, this is where the backlight would come on a little bit and you'd be able to see things a little bit better. Now, I don't spend much time moving around within any of these screens or whatever. Of course, I can swipe around and get to certain information, but I just don't spend much time looking at these. This watch is something that I use for telling the time, and it's tracking my sleep while I'm sleeping. It's tracking my workouts. I can look and see my steps. I can look and see the altitude, what the temperature is outside, all of that stuff. The barometer, which, helps me kind of figure out what the weather's going to look like. And then, of course, my heart rate. And so it's just basic information that I can get to. One button press, I can get to any of my workouts very easily. I can get to this information and just kind of a heads up display on the weather, some of my last workout information, steps for the day, all that good stuff, my body battery. These are things that I like to see, but I don't end up looking at very often. The Garmin watch is just something that stays out of my way. And especially the fact that I don't have to worry about charging it all the time, it definitely stays out of my way. It is more like a traditional watch, but it has smart features that are mostly tied to health. And of course, with this watch being the Tactix 7, it has solar charging. So if I'm out on a run or I'm spending time outside, it will charge a little bit solar. I haven't noticed a huge difference in that with the charging. Of course, it does help a little bit, but it is a tiny screen here and it's not able to just fully charge the battery up to 100%. I don't know what amount of time you'd need to be outside in this direct sunlight to get that, but it does help extend the battery life a little bit. Another feature that I like about this, being that I have my private pilot's license, it does have aviation related features, none of which that I really use, but it is nice to have them. And yes, of course, I could use this for payments. I could use Garmin Pay and load payment methods on the watch, and I can also load music on the watch if I wanted to, but I just don't use the watch for those purposes. Now, if we look at the Garmin Connect app, I like it a lot better than I like the combination of the health and the fitness app for Apple. Let's just take a look at my day so far. It's 11 o'clock. I went on a run this morning, a treadmill run. As you can see, shows me my sleep score. I could see my body battery for the day, which it's drained quite a bit already. I could see my activities for the week. I didn't work out the last 2 days. And I could see my running for the last 7 days and my cycling for the last 7 days, hoping to go on a ride today. Down here, I can see at a glance information, which I really like just how simple these are. I can see my heart rate, resting heart rate, intensity minutes, steps for the day, calories in and out, and then of course the challenges and everything that I have down below. I could jump over to the calendar. This is where I was maybe comparing this to fitness rings. I could tell that the days with the green bar at the top, I don't know, maybe those are the days that I worked out. I really don't even know how to read these, and I don't really care. Okay, here's the colors and how the color matches. So treadmill, running, and let's go back to here. Okay, so green, I guess, are like workout activities. I definitely didn't work out much earlier this month because I had kind of a shoulder injury that I was nursing. And so I don't spend any time in here, though. I don't care what shows up here. What I care about is, do I have some intensity minutes for the day? Maybe getting to 10,000 steps as a minimum. Maybe I want to work out every single day here. And I'm not super focused on closing a ring that provides a little bit of stress, because like I had to close a ring to feel like my workout was valid. If I didn't close the ring, it was like, oh, I didn't have time to work out, or I only had time for a small workout. And I just didn't like that. Simple fact is, I want a workout for the day. I don't want to go without a workout, but I also don't want to feel like I didn't accomplish something because I didn't close a ring. And yes, I know I can adjust the rings, but I'm not going to get in there and adjust the rings daily. There needs to be like a baseline, and I don't even want to think about that. It's just too much to think about. I would rather focus on simple metrics. So the Connect app, yeah, it's just super simple. I could join other challenges. I can go and see weekly leaderboard information, comparing myself to other people that I'm friends with in the app. And then under more here, I've got my health stats, and I just really like all of these health stats. They're much easier to look at and read and just see the information really clear. It's not that I don't like the Apple app. It's just, I don't know, insights and all this information, being able to have information that compares me to other people that are in my age range and also using Garmin devices. This is useful information to me. Kind of helps me better understand where I'm at compared to other people. Not that I need to be comparing myself to other people, but it's nice to know my baselines, my level of activity in comparison to other people that are actively using the platform as well. That's something that we simply just don't get with the Apple Watch. Now, another feature of the Garmin Tactix 7 that I really like is the flashlight. A double tap here and I get a nice flashlight right on the front of the watch that I can use to illuminate pretty much anything. And yeah, the Apple Watch has one, but it just lights up the screen, and then I have to kind of point my wrist around like that, which is, I don't know, I just don't like it. I love the light on the front of the Garmin watch. Sometimes I forget it's there, but when I need it and I remember, it's super useful. I kind of mentioned it earlier. What I really like about this watch is that I can set it to just not give me any notifications at all, except for phone calls and text messages. So under the watch's settings, if I go to notifications and alerts, and under smart notifications, I can have status notifications on. I could have general use, just calls and text only, and I could turn apps off, which is great. That means I don't have to have any apps sending me notifications. Yes, of course, I could turn that on, but I'd rather just have it off. I don't need apps sending me notifications. I simply just want calls and texts, and that's it. And then I could even come in here and look at system alerts as well. And so what's really great is that it's much, much, much easier just to choke down the notifications that are going to come through and distract me. So phone calls and text messages to this watch, that's it, no apps. Of course, yes, I can manually go and do that with the Apple Watch, going and toggling one off each at a time. What I do like about the Apple Watch is that as far as phone calls and text messages, and I could even set that up using a focus mode so that way I'm just getting notifications. And so yes, there's ways to do that using focus modes, but in my opinion, it's maybe just a little overly complicated with configuring. And though I know I can go in there and set up custom focus modes apply to all of my different devices, which means those settings are going to be the same on my phone, on my watch, on my Mac, on my iPad, when really I just want those settings to apply to my watch only. So what do I miss from the Apple Watch? I mean, obviously there are some things that I miss. I did try to go back to the Apple Watch 2 different times for about a day or two and just ended up back on the Garmin watch. But what do I miss? First of all, the Apple Watch Ultra has cellular data, which means I can leave my phone at home, connect my AirPods to it, and I can listen to music. I can still make and receive phone calls and text messages and all that stuff without without my phone being around. If I want to do that while using a Garmin, the Garmin's not going to help me there. It's just going to notify me that I have a call or a text coming through. It's still much easier to access my music and everything else from the phone. And so yes, I do end up carrying my iPhone 15 Pro Max with me when I go on runs and rides, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's not very heavy, and it's easy to stow that in whatever little bag that I'm carrying with me. It's just something that I've gotten used to. And I was carrying my iPhone 15 Pro Max with me even when I was using the Apple Watch Ultra anyways. It's just maybe a force of habit, easier to control things, and then sometimes music just wouldn't work, or it would dip out, or the AirPods would disconnect sometimes to the Apple Watch. There's always some little issues which kept me using the iPhone as my primary device even when I was on runs and bike rides. So cellular with number share on the Apple Watch for sure, because yes, I could leave my phone at home, and when the watch noticed that it was disconnected from the phone, I can make and receive phone calls using my primary number on the Apple Watch. That's something that I think all the major carriers support. I'm on Verizon with the Apple Watch and with my phone, and it's very easy to have them set that up or to set it up through the Verizon app. And it's something the Apple Watch has been able to do for a long time. So with all that said, what's the best option for you? Well, it comes down to what provides you the most utility. For me, I primarily want my watch to be a fitness device. I don't necessarily want it to be a notification device. I'm probably going to have my phone on me most of the time anyways, because without my phone, I don't have a camera, I don't have a premium music player, and there's just things that the phone does that the Apple Watch isn't going to be able to do at all or do that well, and the Garmin watch most definitely isn't going to be able to do. So knowing that I'm going to have my phone with me most of the time, I want the watch that provides the best fitness experience, that gets out of my way, that isn't something that I have to worry about, and the Garmin Tactix 7 is definitely that watch. Now, Garmin makes a lot of different options. The Tactix 7 is definitely one that's more expensive. I got it because I wanted the aviation features and I wanted the more kind of, I guess, tactical look, but there's lots of different options as far as Garmin goes, many of them having great battery life and all of the main features that this Garmin watch has. I'll link to some of them down in the description below. So it's likely, even moving forward, that I most likely will stay on the Garmin platform for the foreseeable future. I really enjoy not having to worry about this piece of technology as much as I was when I had the Apple Watch on my wrist. Even though I know I'm missing out on a lot of features that the Apple Watch has, but what it really comes down to is this device providing enough utility for me, and is it staying out of my way? And I don't know, the line is blurred there a little bit, but the Garmin definitely fits better into where my life is right now, wanting to focus more on my fitness activities than on the bells and whistles that I could get out of something like the Apple Watch Ultra. Real quick, I'd love for you to do a favor for me. You can see here that 98.4% of you watching my videos are not subscribed. So if you could really quick, just go smash that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let me know down in the comment section below, are you more an Apple Watch or a Garmin user? What are some of the features that matter most to you? I'd love to hear those as well. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope to see you back in another one soon. Take care.